This episode is powered by Anivia Pickleball. Based in the heart of Vancouver, BC, whether you're new to the game or a seasoned vet, they have the paddle for you. I myself am currently using their Voltex Gen 3 Pro, which comes in both mid and lightweight. A big thank you for the team at Anivia for taking a chance on me in this podcast. And for listeners of the podcast, if you enter AGorman15 at checkout, you get 15% off. Check out Anivia.com now. That's AGORMAN 15 at checkout. On with the show. Hey everyone, welcome back. A quick caveat before we jump into the interview with Yui. I had to record my stuff on my work location. I didn't have very good cell service out there, so my audio is a little bit grainy. Yui comes in nice and crystal clear, so you get to hear all of his awesome answers to all the questions I got to ask him in the interview. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. Yui Si Lau, here we go.
Hell yeah. Right. Right on. So I have to welcome our first ever guest, and it's fitting that this guy is our first guest because he's been greasing our wheels for a while. Yui Si Lau, founder of CNPO, founder of CPA, owner of Track Ops Media. Man, I can go on with this list. Director of DUPR in China, creative director for Tyrol Pickleball, and probably many, many more. Probably the most busy man in pickleball right now. I'm actually surprised he has sort of a week off. How's it going, Yui?
It's good, man. Thank you for having me. Amazing to be on the Pickleball Diaries. Finally, a long time coming. Number one pickleball podcast as far as Canadian pickleball is concerned. Glad to be finally locking in with you.
Thank you so much. So we just finished the CNPO season 2 first week. I know I had a blast watching it online. How was it in person there? It looked loud.
It was crazy. I mean, just crowd aside and obviously spectators aside that we always welcome with open arms. We were just happy to see the level of competition and the level of play jump so significantly from previous year and previous season, and with the addition of some of the Montreal guys coming in and some of the players that are more accustomed to playing in the U.S., like the Torresons and the Rosatis of the world. We really saw the level of play jump to something that I personally haven't seen in Canada till now.
Oh no, yeah, absolutely. Like I know particularly one of my favorite matches was the men's Pronghorns versus the Lions. That match was insane to watch. Just having the two boys from Montreal going against Brad and Michael McCaffrey. That was like an unstoppable force meets an immovable object between the two teams.
Exactly, and that's the kind of analogy that gets you the number one spot as far as pickleball podcasts are concerned, right? No, that's great, man. No, I think next time we'd love to have you out there with us so that you can kind of capture the moment for the Pickleball Diaries, up close to live and direct and in person. That'd be we gotta figure out how to get you out there somehow for next one.
Well, I'm banking. I'm trying to bank my days off for my job so I can at least make the Calgary one for sure. So
That'd be nice.
That's my goal. That's my goal for that one right now. And yeah, super excited for when that one comes too. So for people who haven't got to meet you in person, by the way, guys, this is an amazing guy to meet in person. How did you get into the whole pickleball scene? Like, was it through the Tyrol pickleball thing with Track Ops Media?
That's exactly it. So anyone who's had the misfortune of having to play with me on a court knows that I'm terrible at, by all accounts, as far as playing is concerned. I come from basketball, soccer, and MMA. So racket sports is still something I'm getting acclimatized to. But what I do really enjoy is the community that pickleball seems to be able to foster. Just it always seems to cream rises to the top as far as quality of people is concerned, and I'm just fortunate to be able to hang out in this kind of circle. Whereas normally my level of game wouldn't allow me in some of these rooms. But yeah, I got into pickleball because my background is in media and music production, and there was a shoe brand at the time. They were just starting out, and they were looking to have that kind of branding, kind of content creation done for them, creative direction done for them, and that was Tyrol. Tyrol at the time was just starting out in 2022, and so, or in 2021 they had brought me on, but by 2022 they had sponsored the PPA, and so between June to uh December of the 2022 year, I went to almost every single one of their tournaments, and got to see, pickleball being produced at as high a level as they could be produced. And I was like, wow, this is crazy. And one thing that kept coming to mind as I kept going to these tournaments was, Canada doesn't have this, Canada doesn't have this. In fact, all of our pros seem to be coming south, and playing at these APPs and these PPAs, largely because we didn't have these platforms that could serve as a stepping stone for our pros. And so I was like, hey, we could do this. And at the time, Tyrol had two owners, Ryan and Mike as well. And we were on tour together over these 6 months, and we were like, hey, why can't we do something like this for Canada? Had something like this been done in Canada yet? And no matter how much we researched up and down, we were like, oh, nothing seems to exist in Canada for this yet. And we were kind of, I mean, we didn't know, largely because our pickleball work was mostly in the US, and so we were just it took me a while to come. I knew the US pros before I knew the Canada pros, right? So it took me a while to come back and meet everybody, and go to a nationals, go to a few of the tournaments at High Sports and whatnot, to really start getting to know these people. And obviously, when our draft qualifier started, I started getting close with people in the West as well, right? So that was a bit of a process, but for us, it was like we just didn't really know the pickleball scene in Canada when we were like, hey, so does this exist? Can we do something like this? And if we can, I mean, this would be amazing, because all we're seeing is Canadian pros come to PPA, come to APP to play, and unfortunately get washed for the most part, because um, the skill level, just there's nothing in Canada that develops the skill of these players. And we are like, hey, maybe we could go ahead and do this. And so by the end of 2022, we had decided to do it. By February of 2023, we launched, and the rest is history.
Oh yeah, it was, and I can say as from someone who saw the posts really really quickly, and I tried to jump on with it just for the same thing. Like I was like, well, when I was doing the podcast, I was like, well, there's so many podcasts that already cover the U.S. Like aside from talking about my own experiences, what am I going to talk about? Then I saw you guys post, and I was like, well, hey, let's promote the crap out of this, because this is perfect for me. This is perfect because at that time I had met a few of the pros in Alberta here, like Brad Chapman, Kim Layton, and yeah, that was the biggest thing. It's like, oh, like, yeah, we're playing here. We sometimes go to nationals. Yeah, we have like a paddle sponsorship, but we don't really have the funds to go and move around and get the development and stuff we need. Whereas now, just from this, and now with the CPA tour about to start, it's just giving so much more opportunity for our pros to train and get better. And then just we've already had three from the CMPL move down to the States and get those big contracts. Hannah Blad, the Walker sisters. So it's just even providing that stepping stone. It's been awesome, and it's been fun to watch.
Yeah, that's exactly it. I think the first year allowed us to prove our concept, which was to, hey, can we be the stepping stone? Can we be a feeder system to the big leagues, which are in the US? And just the first year showed that, when you do give kind of a light to these players who all work so hard, they all deserve it, in my opinion, right? Like these are players that have all the will, and they're developing their skill, and without something like this, where they can call themselves a pro in our own country, um it makes it hard for them to step out of the country and be put themselves on a pedestal because nothing in the country was helping develop it heretofore. So yeah, absolutely, the Walker sisters, Hannah Blatt, we're so happy that they're not playing in our league anymore, not because we don't want them in our league, but because it shows that when you are a high achiever in what we're able to build here, that the big leagues in the US will start taking notice as well. And that right there is everything we strive for. And so with the in the same regard, to me, we're just part of the pathway to the top, right? And so that's why the PWR CPA Pro Tour is another example of that. It'll I mean, it doesn't it's not necessarily to say that the US entities won't take note of the winning players on the CPA Pro Tour, but right now the way PWR is set up is that it'll allow the players in the CPA Pro Tour to get their rankings, and the best players will then have a pathway to the Pickleball World Series, which is, by all counts and measures, supposed to be, the global pickleball event, like a grand slam of pickleball, which we're all very excited for. So the fact that Canadian pros now have eligibility or a pathway to get to that, that to me is what we're here for.
Oh, absolutely. And that's just also another step for the possibility of pickleball eventually going to Olympics and some of that, especially with like the Global Pickleball Federation, which you've been notably now a part of as well. So
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. The push for growing the game. I personally don't think that I can say I'm growing the game unless I'm making or part of that push for the Olympics, right? And whether that's helping with what we're doing here in Canada to bring up the level of our players, or what I'm doing out in China to help, kind of standardize or give a level of um, bring the sport to a global standard in that sense, whether it's through coaching, resources that we're bringing, brands, right, that we're bringing that are hard for a lot of players in China to access. These are all things that we uh, brick by brick, helping them build a more solid foundation, so that come time for this sport to be announced as part of the Olympics, the territories that I've had a say in will be ready.
perfect. That's awesome. So I have one big question. How did you guys manage to swing Tim's? Because you guys got one of the two biggest franchises in all of Canada to sponsor that CPA Pro Tour before even the first game goes. Was that through partially them seeing the CMPL stuff, or how did that come about?
Yeah, I think there's I mean, obviously the first year of the CMPL showed everybody that the Canadian media and the Canadian population in general that has an appetite for pickleball, whether it's participating or watching. It's coming off the ground, so to speak. And now I think, yeah, that coupled with Alex's longstanding relationships with a lot of different corporate entities that he's been around from having a legacy that he's built in pickleball for so long on the east coast of Canada. This largely legitimized us. I mean, the fact that Alex is no stranger when it comes to organizing high level tournaments. He's obviously somebody that has helped impact the infrastructure on the east coast of Canada in terms of not just providing facilities but top tier coaching. I mean, the Christina Chins of the world, the Clemensons, like these are all people who came up through in Ernesto, like largely or in some way, shape, or form through his either program or facility or whatever. So he to me is kind of like it was a no brainer for me to partner up with someone like that to get get the ball rolling on a pro tour because of what he's already done and accomplished. So a byproduct of that, I guess, of his being around for so long is um, that it makes conversations with entities that have noticed his presence a lot easier, and Tim Hortons is one of them. They've been sponsors of his previous regional or local tournaments. They've been sponsors of his facility. So when the CPA Pro Tour came around, I guess it was very easy to make that bridge.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, like as soon as that announcement came out, I was like, I said other than the one other company, I was like, that's pretty much the top echelon of franchises that you're going to get as far as restaurants are concerned, and the fact that it has the Canadian tie-in with it being
Yeah.
the original like big Canadian franchise. Like that's just perfect. Like I made the joke to Victor. I said, oh yeah, I said if you guys ever want to do a thing where they challenge a call, you should get them to throw like a rubberized donut out and stuff like that, and have Tim sponsor it. But no, yeah, that's been awesome. And just for everyone to recap for everyone who has been listening, when the first tournament is the June 5th to 9th for the CPA Pro
Yes.
Tour.
Yeah, for
Or,
CPA Pro Tour, the first, the inaugural event will be June 5th to 9th. I know that a lot, everybody from players to spectators are waiting on us to announce the next dates and venues. We promise those are coming down the pipeline. It's just a matter of kind of I don't want to put too much on our plate before we know how the first one turns out and what adjustments we have to make. And so that's kind of where things are at for me. Like, as much as I'd like to be like, okay, let's lock down this venue in Montreal, this venue in Vancouver. This is the first time any of us have done this. We want to make sure that we've got the space that we need locked down, that we know exactly how much space we need. We don't want to be in a situation where we have everything set up and nowhere to walk, for example, or nowhere for people to sit. So, like, these are all things where we want to make sure we have all these pieces in place to make sure that, because this isn't like CMPL. CMPL is like you can have 3 courts worth of space and make it work, right? With the CPA Pro Tour, where the it's more participatory than it is spectator, right? Now you're looking at why high sports is it works out, because they've gone from 16 courts to like I think 13 plus the center court now that we're going to be putting in for just for this event. It requires that amount, right? So a lot of these venues are like 6 court, 4 court, 7 court venues that excuse me that do make it, unless they have some parking lot space outside that's perfectly flattened, where we can roll out Pran's Pickleball United courts to add to that. It may be hard for 7 courts to accommodate. I mean, we've got 400 some odd signups even without doing too much promotion out the gate for this first event. So I can only, if we do things right, I can only imagine that this will go up. And as a result, we will need more infrastructure to accommodate the higher volume of participants, and we welcome that. We just need to make sure, it's just that at the moment we don't have the big facilities, the way the US does for their APP, or we're not booking out the Miami Convention Center, et cetera, right? So this is where we come to kind of like oh hey, we'd love to do it at your facility, but 4 courts may not be enough. 6 courts may not be enough. We will be there for 2 weeks if we only had 4 courts, right? So that's where it gets a little more difficult than with CMPL, in my opinion.
no, absolutely, and it's funny because I'm on the Alberta pickleball board right now, and we had that discussion for provincials. Because a lot of times for our provincials, we're up around like the 530, 600 participants, and currently right now for outdoor space, there's only really 2 spots to play. Now we do have a bunch of new facilities opening up in Edmonton and Calgary. I'm not sure about their number of courts yet, but yeah, like if you're not hovering at least 12, 16 courts, once you get
Yeah.
up around that 400 mark, it gets really tough unless people are fine playing like till like 1 in the morning type of deal.
Yeah, exactly. And with like an event like 400, like you're already looking at half of nationals, right? Like for a lot, like for this. So uh when you look at the national setup and how many courts, their arena setups that they need to have. I remember in Kingston, they had like 20 arenas worth of courts, right, for the 1,000 or so people that went. And so that's really the kind of infrastructure we need. We just don't want to be in a situation where we're playing on arenas. We want to kind of make sure that the flooring is right and all that stuff. So it will, I mean, we'll figure it out from a logistics perspective. But again, this is the first year, and we're thankful to everyone who's staying supportive and staying patient with us, bearing with us in terms of growing pains. As we remember, the CMPL had a lot of growing pains, and whether it was the first live stream, whether it was the first event, like there were all these things. And so we're very thankful for the pickleball crowd, the pickleball demographic, the pickleball community that has stayed with us and kind of grown with us And that's the most anybody could ever ask for, considering, this is so brand new. But what it does tell you is that this is something we've been needing for some time now, right? With we're hoping with these platforms that are being put out now, that it raises the profile of pickleball enough that, governments, whether it's, on a municipal, on a provincial, or on a national level, they start to take notice and start providing us with the infrastructure the way you see it for basketball, for tennis at these community centers and whatnot. And then from there, we'll really start seeing the sport grow, I think.
Absolutely. So I don't want to take up too much more of your time, but I do have a question for the CPA one. So when you guys were looking at signing the pro sport, now obviously you want the guys who've been winning and the ladies who've been winning everything. And I'm also assuming you want those very charismatic characters as well, like the Christina Chins of the world and stuff like that. Whereas like on the opposite side of the spectrum, you have Brad Chapman, who's like the captain of stoicism on the court. But
I thought you were going to say the pronghorns, but stoicism works perfectly there too in that sentence.
so yeah, so what did you when you were kind of picking those, aside from like getting those like the top ones that you guys announced like right away, what were you looking at for some of those other pros who are still like very, very high level, but they're more like where I would consider on that up and up category when you compare them to like say Christina, Brad, Kim Layton type of thing?
Yeah, totally. It's a great question. I mean, at this point, it's like you said, we went with, obviously the CMPL helps set a lot of metrics for us, and so you'll see a lot of crossover from there. If they perform well at the CMPL, likely they got a call from us for the CPA. A lot of it also is how they're viewed in their community, right? Like there are like we also wanted people who were good examples of Canadian pickleball, who on court their attitude is exemplary. Their sportsmanship is like, I mean, you look at a Mac Kawamoto, he could lose all day and still have a smile on his face. It's like these people who continue to promote the fun aspect of pickleball for me, that are really key in making it seem like something that everybody should be participating in. Um, and obviously we're talking outside of the skill level, which has to be there in the first place. And of course, there's going to be a lot of pros that I wish we could sign that we just don't have space and the resources for. I mean, you look at PPA, the way they've grown, they're at 60 signed players now, and we're in our first year, so it will take some time for us to get everybody, and for the pool to deepen. I mean, I'll name one player in my head that went from being kind of part of the crowd in terms of, to now just wow in my head, and that's Kyle Hermetz. Right, I'm looking at that guy like, holy, where did this guy come from? Like, what, like, to me, if there's a case for performance drug testing, that's the man, because he went from just being kind of average in last year's qualifiers to this year being somebody I couldn't take my eyes off of, because of how exhilarating their style of play has gotten to be, and how high energy they are, and that's a success story right there to me. And so when it comes to this kind of thing, like we want to make sure, because we're now promoting pickleball on a national level, and so if we do things right, more than just Canada will be watching. Yes, all of the countries, pickleball amateurs and enthusiasts, their eyes will be on us. But most importantly, it'll be the rest of the world watching, right? Like whenever, like I have conversations with people in Hong Kong who are telling me more about my league than I know, right? Like there were people in Hong Kong telling me about the Lee Bradwell trade before Mike told me that Lee Bradwell was being traded back because he had some injury. And these are things I'm hearing from other people before I hear from, and that's great. That's awesome. Like these are it tells you that there's an appetite for this, but at the same time, what it means is that we have to be very careful about who we put on that pedestal, because we have to understand the power of that influence as well for these players. Is that you players are now going to be who the next, like the 10, 12-year-old right now is watching, saying, I want to be like that. That's my favorite player. The way we were watching the Matt Sundins, the Doug Gilmores, Felix Potvins of our time, saying that's who I want to be. The Michael Jordans, all these players we looked up to. And now in pickleball, there's pickleball specific heroes that we are responsible for creating. And so we just have to be careful that, we're putting out the right the right people for that. And as this game grows, obviously there'll be room for all kinds of personalities, all kinds of, but just, for now, we want to make sure that Canada's as well represented in all aspects as possible when it comes to pickleball. And that's kind of how we fell on a lot of people, which is, again, not to say that our list is comprehensive, complete, or even entirely accurate, but this is just a starting block, and it can get shuffled in the sense of, when you look at the way the CPA Pro Tour is set up, only 16 of these guys are going to come away with spots, and then there will be opportunities for others who are not sponsored in these 20 to play into those sponsored spots. So in my head, this is just a starting block. It's like saying our King's Court format, okay, bro, you're starting on court 1. Enjoy it, because you're going to have to defend this with your life, right? Because there's other people from court 2, court 3, court 4. They're all scrambling to get to the top of this. And so if you can't hold your position, bro, or sis, you out, right? So that's where I think it gets interesting for us, is not who we start with, but who we end up with, and who ends up holding down that title for, or their sponsorship spot for as long as possible. I think that's what we have to look at. The not right now, oh my God, I didn't get sponsored, so I don't want to play. No, it's okay. These guys got it for now. Okay, I understand why they got it. Let me show you why I should have it. I think that if that attitude could be something that, people could take on, I think these none of these 20 pros would feel safe.
No, absolutely. Yeah, I love that that way of looking at it, where it's like, yeah, these are the ones we're starting with right now, but it's a free for all. Like, if you can prove that you belong there, then you belong there. I love that attitude with it. It's
Yeah,
awesome.
bro. Someone like an Irene. I know I mentioned Kyle, but mostly because he got drafted. But someone like an Irene, like, she came from being, again, part of the crowd to me, in terms of her to really standing out at the qualifier. Right. The only difference is, I think, just on a profile level, on a branding level, that may have hindered her a little bit, just because she's relatively new to these owners and whatnot. But again, that's a much easier fix than being a bad player and having a bad attitude in the first place, and then not, feeling like, oh, I didn't get drafted, so forget these guys. I'm not interested anymore, or whatever, right? We're here for you guys, right? We're here for the players at the end of the day. Like, there's a lot we could have done with the whatever, the extra valuation that came in year 2 versus year 1. But instead, we chose to do things like raise the pod. We chose to do things like have more live stream, have more things that would allow us to push the concept into the world in a more effective way. So, hopefully, any naysayers or any of these platforms, hopefully, like, I totally understand. We're brand new. We're new kids on the block. Give us time, right? Just like the Montreal kids. They gave us time. They gave us a year. They took the time to check it out and see what this was about, and then they committed this year, and now we're all better for it, right? I don't mind. Watch as we prove the concept. But when you feel like this concept is now here to stay, we'd love for all of you guys to participate and to be part of this, because we can't do it without you guys.
Oh, absolutely. And I will say this for everyone who ends up listening. It was funny. Me and Victor were talking about the MLP in the States, one of their things, and we can already agree that the CMPL format is way, way better. The MLP is very confusing with their rating systems and stuff like that, where CMPL, it's like you literally just have to open up the page. It's like, yep, first, second, third, fourth, fifth, all the way down to 8. It's very, very simple. So the fact that it's only second year and you guys already seem to have that locked down just shows how much effort and like attention you guys have been giving this thing. And it's been a privilege to watch, and getting to watch it in person last year was awesome.
I appreciate that, man. We're very lucky. Mike is a very smart kid. He comes from a plethora of different fantasy sports experience. He's obsessed with data, and so very driven guy. Always, and easy to kind of deal with, from what I hear with the team managers, and certainly for myself. So it really makes for a guy who now, the guy in charge, in my opinion, is always someone that should have these qualities, and obviously the fact that he's as interested as he is in building a league also helps. This isn't just a job to him. This is what he lives, eats, and breathes. So this is this is somebody that is here to stay, not just trying to build a business to sell. In my from what I understand, so you get the care and attention and the next level, kind of white glove treatment that he's been giving to everyone in the league, and hopefully this is just something that continues to build in terms of in whatever aspect, and we're seeing that already in terms of the level of play. Obviously, we're still back at largely the same venues due to there not being too many options, but as far as the level of play, the participation, the spectatorship, it's all ramping up, and we're so glad that the Pickleball Diaries has been such a has been able to follow the journey from the beginning. I still remember when we first got talking at last year's qualifiers in the West. It's good to see the growth, and good to see you're still going, man, because we're working hard over here to give you stuff to talk about.
Oh, yeah, and you guys never leave anything short for me to talk about. That's for sure. That was one of the things when I first started the podcast. I was worried about. I was like, what am I going to talk about in the off season? And now it's like, oh, okay, I got CMPL. Now I got the CPA Pro Tour to talk about. It's been awesome, and the fact that there was like all these trades this year, there was the different signings, and then now we've had all these new people come in, and a lot of them put on an insanely good showing. Like just on like the Brewers team with like Victoria DeMuso, she did a very very good job
Oh
this
yeah.
year. Um, um, Sabrina Lamb on the Wolverines, I thought basically established herself as like the top female on that team after this past weekend. Like it's just been, and I got to watch her play at the Western qualifiers too, and I was just like, yeah, if one of the females aside from Irene is going to get picked, this would be the one I'd pick. And then to see her get drafted and just to see her perform was amazing to watch.
Yeah, shows you be a good team owner. So when you're ready one day, we can have that conversation, bro.
I gotta save up some more money to do that, but yeah, as soon as you guys start talking expansion, shoot me an email and I'll see if I can. I might have to sell a store or something, but we'll see.
Yeah, bro, get Subway to sponsor. We need sandwiches. We need all kinds of stuff.
I can be the liaison if you guys want to push that. So
That'd be amazing. No, let's get to honestly, man. I'm very grateful for platforms like yours. Obviously, these entities that we create, these platforms that we create, would be nothing without people talking about it. And you've been louder than anyone that I know of. So, always happy to support you, my bro. Whatever it is you need, you let us know. You'll always get the scoop first, and even if I don't reach out to you, it seems you always get the scoop first. That fan play thing. I mean, you've again found out before I did, which is you had your
I
team
want.
set up before we even made an official announcement, which is crazy. I don't know how.
It was weird. It was just I can't remember even where I was scrolling, and all of a sudden I just saw. Yeah, I saw the World Pickleball rankings. Then it had like the fan plan, and then I was like, oh, what's this? I clicked and just kind of followed it from there, and I was like, oh, this is awesome. And I was like, and that's a guy who like I used to play college basketball, so one of the things to keep in touch with a lot of my former college buddies, we play fantasy basketball throughout the year. So I was like, hey, I love this already. I was like, and then I'm gonna win money off of Victor now because my team did better than him for the CMPL one. So
That's awesome. Even though it's not monetized, you guys have already started betting amongst yourselves.
oh yeah,
We're
oh
we're
we had to
we're,
do something for
we're
it,
proving
right?
the
So
concept everywhere. I love it.
all right. So you are a busy man, so I'm gonna let you go. Do you have any last thing to say for everyone for the upcoming CPA Pro Tour event?
No, man. I think thank you to everyone who signed up for giving us a shot. Thank you to the pros who committed to this and believed in us that we could get this off the ground. We still don't know if that's the case yet, but we're working on it every day, scrambling here and here and there just to kind of have all the pieces in place by June 5th. But I think we have enough going on now that people won't be disappointed when they come. So that's a good start for a first event, just not disappointing people. I think that's a good goal to have for pickleball in Canada for now. So that's where we are, and I think um, by all standards, we should be able to put on a good event for our players that you'll want to come back to when we announce the next one. So hopefully that's the case. If you have time, hopefully you can make it out. We can take this offline and discuss a partial sponsorship if you can get the time off work. Just it'd be nice to have your coverage there as usual.
I will definitely look into that. um, So I think that's it. Yeah, we'll go offline with this last part, but thank you so much for this interview, Hugh. It's always a pleasure talking to you. It's just, I feel like I could just sit and drink beers and talk with you about pickleball and crap all day. So
We should do that sometime. We should do that, and then just put the camera on and have it filmed. We'll do it in a nice environment, like a nice hotel lobby or something, and then just shoot the crap all day, and just see what parts we could keep for the Pickleball Diaries.
perfect.
All right, another big thank you to UEC Lau from CNPL and the CPA Pro Tour for that awesome interview. Don't forget, everyone, the CPA Pro Tour has their first event coming up this next weekend at the High Sports Facility in Ontario. Make sure you tune into their YouTube channel for that. Me and Victor will be back at you before that with another podcast where we do a full recap of the CNPL Eastern Split. So we'll see you guys then. Thank you very much.